It's been misrepresented. He's not saying that what Epstein did is a hoax. It's a terrible, unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down.
President Trump is an amazing man. I stand by him. I stand by his administration and everything that he is doing to fix the mess of the Biden administration.
The Democrats are turning it into a hoax there, Thomas. Ro Khanna is sitting there reposting, I think, and salivating in the same fake headlines that the media was pushing out to promulgate a hoax. Obama discovered in the emails, not by name, but he is called the boss. And who calls him that? Oh, that's right. Jeffrey did himself. And you can see this is an email flagged for us by Zero Hedge. We've got a bunch of emails and Wikipedia stories pulled up here so we can see who these people are, exactly who we're talking about. And the first one is this woman, Catherine Rumler. She was there appointed by Obama, you see right there, back to the Obama White House. Democrat, went to Georgetown, University of Washington, and other things. Editor-in-chief of the Law Journal, just like Obama was, allegedly, of the Law Review at Harvard. And she went to go and work for him. She was employed as a partner at Latham & Watkins, met with Jeffrey, saying, "I regret ever knowing Jeffrey." Yeah. But here you can see, in October 2011, she said that there was no evidence of certain loans happening. She was White House counsel, so she went to go work for Obama. The Office of Legal Counsel issued an opinion, and Eric Holder announced his intention to drop down. She was going to come in there and almost be the United States Attorney General, okay, according to this article. She withdrew because it would be a difficult confirmation process because of her close friendship, okay, this woman, with Obama. She couldn't be the Attorney General because she was too close to Obama. Yeah, and probably had a lot of Jeffrey baggage that was following her around. So she, of course, very, very close to the Obama administration, and her name shows up in the emails. Very interesting. Now watch this. From Zero Hedge, many people going through these documents now. There's about 20,000 pages of them. And Zero Hedge flagged this one. Said, let's look at this email. Look at this list of people in this chain. Peter Thiel, Larry Summers, Bill Burns, Gordon Brown, Jaglin, Hardeep, Bill Gates's Boris, Jabor. We got Stephen, Leon Black, Woody Allen. Yeah, that's a pretty nice list there, says Zero Hedge. Oh, and guess what? Kathy Rumler was the White House counsel for Obama. And such a close personal friend that she couldn't even be the AG because a little too close for comfort. Here's what the email chain says. September 19th, 2014. From Epstein, you need to talk to boss. She's White House counsel. You know who boss is? Obama. Busted. She says, agreed, but I need to be prepared to say yes before I talk to him. And Epstein says back to her, okay, understood. It comes down to high risk / reward, low risk / reward, professional, emotional, and financial. Okay, so all of these different things, it's going to hit him professionally, emotionally, and financially. Kathy responds to him, to Jeffrey, says most girls do not have to worry about this crap. Don't have to worry about any of this. And he says, girls, careful, I will renew an old habit. Gross. Don't even know what that means, but we can speculate based on the fact that this is in 2014 after he's already been convicted. This week, he says, Thiel, Summers, Bill Burns, Gordon Brown, Jaglan, Council of Europe, Nobel Chairman, Mongolian President, Hardeep Puri, India, Boris with Gates, Jabor with Qatar, Sultan Dubai, Coslin over from Harvard, Leon Black, Woody Allen. You are a welcome guest at any. And also, if you think that there are interesting people in town, everyone is here for the climate summit. Clinton, Security Council. Holy crap. I'm on something for the next 30 minutes. I'm on something for the next 30 minutes, whatever that is. So then she says, doesn't look like you are prioritizing your schedule very effectively. You're meeting with all these people. How are you going to manage all of that? This is UNGA week, so the boss will be in town too. Who's the boss? Oh yeah, Obama. I'll be here all week. You may get sick of me. Just sat down on the train, so I can't talk freely, right? And we know why she can't talk freely. And she didn't want to communicate about what they were really communicating about. So I'll talk to you later. We'll pick up the rest of this on the other side. But this is all happening, okay? After Epstein was already found guilty, actually pleaded guilty in June 2008, pleaded guilty, served 13 months, got out in 2009, okay? He was already done by the 2010. So Epstein has already been a convicted prostitution of a minor. That's the charge under the Florida state charges. He got charged again, as we know, in 2019, and then he died, they say. So after all that happens, Obama and the White House and all of these people, look at this, like all these people are hanging out with a dude not long ago, like 6 years. He gets out 2009, 6 years later, 2014, he's hanging out with everybody. Thiel, Summers, Bill Burns, Gordon Brown, Harvard, Dubai, Leon Blackwood. It's crazy. They're all hanging out with this dude. They're like, perfect. He's our guy. So she says, maybe you're cramming too many interviews in there, too many massages or something in there, but it's Kathy Rumler. You see, here's her emails, 2014. Epstein's already been convicted, and Epstein needs her to talk to the president of the United States about something. Isn't that just amazing? So Rumler, we know who she is. Here's another email from Foya fan. It says, holy Spygate, Batman. Epstein was communicating with Obama's counsel, White House counsel, and she was a dirty Spygate witness. And I saw someone in the chat said Bongino used to call her Obama's fixer, which of course, why he probably wanted her as AG. Was Epstein part of Obama's resistance? Probably. Here's more. He responds to this one. Here's a story from Kathy Rumler. Okay. Obama's lawyer and close personal friend wrote, here's a story in 2018, still hanging out with this dude. He hasn't been indicted and arrested again. Here's a story from the New York Times I thought you'd find interesting. The principled case for impeachment is clear. What's missing is the courage. We have to get rid of Trump. Jeffrey responds, I think he makes the argument that it was his, Trump's money, making it not illegal. She sends him a New York Times article. He says it's not illegal, though he also said he only found out afterwards. And the fact, according to the indictment, was billed as services rendered and grossed up. I'm sure his account is flipped anyway. I did talk in detail to Starr yesterday, the indictments, how Trump can make a deal with special counsel. Clinton's trash can. Yes, Starr gave me more. Yeah, he writes in the email. She says, it makes no difference whether it was his money or not. The issue is failure to disclose. Plus, the fact is he has lied his ass off, and about it makes it clear that he knew it was illegal. Okay, she's on team impeach Trump. You see, he says, I know how dirty Donald is. My guess is that non-lawyers, New York biz people have no idea what it means to have your fixer flip. Now, here's another email. This one flagged for us, courtesy of Daniel Boguslaw. Says, former Obama attorney and Goldman Sachs executive Kathy Rumler wrote to Epstein in 2015. Okay, now we're rewinding a little bit about having to stop to take a pee. Here's an email from Kathy Rumler to Jeffrey, 2015. So 8/27/2015, the 2016 election is coming right around the corner, and they're communicating. So he had just announced. Trump said he announced June 16th, 2015. Trump's now running. Long shot. Remember, everybody's like, Trump's a clown. How'd that work out for them? Anyway, so here's the emails. Remember, this one comes out August 26, 2015. Trump just announced a few months prior. Says, Trump is living proof of the adage, says Kathy, just mad, that it is better to be lucky than smart. Sent from my iPad, whatever that means. Epstein responds, he says, I'll give you details when I see you. When are you in New York? She says, going up to New York Friday morning. Think I'm going to drive. I will then stop to pee and get gas at a rest stop on the New Jersey Turnpike. We'll observe all of the people there who are at least 100 pounds overweight, will have a mild panic attack as a result of the observation, and will then decide I am not eating another bite of food for the rest of my life out of fear that I will end up like one of these people. Sent from my iPad. Dang. We make our jabs at the extra chunkies out there, like Big Tish and, Big Fanny and all of them. But I mean, that's some real resentment in there. It's like, wow, golly, she must have seen a really overweight person or something. She's like, got PTSD. Well, just hold it. You don't have to pop off there. It's very condescending, but we do encourage people to, be healthy. Then Kathy says, we'll leave at 9. So we'll be in New York at 1 p.m. And if I have to pee and I get accosted by a fat person, then maybe 1:30. Okay, anytime you like, says Jeffrey, you can drive right to me and I will feed you. Ugh. So Obama's close personal friend is going over to Epstein's and he's going to feed her. And she says, great. That is just disgusting. And then another one came out. MJ Truth Ultra, awesome account over on X, says, remember Michael Wolff too? Very interesting things going on here. And he was out. This is the guy who was saying things like, we can basically take out Trump. And here it was an interview that has now come right back up, courtesy of MJ Truth Ultra.
To investigate him over allegations that there were underage women coming to his house. Epstein believed that it was Trump who first informed the police about what was going on at Epstein's house. And from that point on, they were nothing but bitter enemies.
And this is what he's telling you. This is one of the instances of what he's telling you. That,
yes.
That the following
yes,
happened.
That is the version of this related by...
Oh, the hoax yesterday.
What Trump is referring to is the hoax that the Democrats are using to try to attack him. He has never said or suggested or implied. I've talked to him about this many times.
It comes across as he's calling the whole thing a hoax.
It's been misrepresented. He's not saying that what Epstein did is a hoax. It's a terrible, unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down. The president
Remember that clip? He was an FBI informant. I go, oh, okay.
knows and has great great sympathy for the women who have suffered these unspeakable harms. It's detestable to him. He and I have spoken about this as recently as 24 hours ago. What he's talking about is the Democrats who are doing this with impure motives. If they cared so much about this, why didn't they do something during the 4 years of the Biden
Because they don't care about it.
when the Biden DOJ had all the records? They didn't say a word about it. Now they're doing it for political purposes.
Our current president had relationships with Epstein in the past, and there are those Katie Johnson and maybe other victims who accuse Trump of being involved in things like this. In my experience, Trump supporters will not listen to anything along those lines. Obviously, we're not a court of law here right now, but though that case was dropped before it went to court, in your opinion as a lawyer and your experience, is there anything you can say as to the validity of those claims, or whether or not there will be any more about that?
Nothing at all. The only thing that I can say about President Trump is that he is the only person who, in 2009, when I served a lot of subpoenas on a lot of people, or at least gave notice to some pretty connected people that I wanted to talk to them, he is the only person who picked up the phone and said, let's just talk. I'll give you as much time as you want. I'll tell you what you need to know, and was very helpful in the information that he gave, and gave no indication whatsoever that he was involved in anything untoward whatsoever, but had good information that checked out and that helped us, and that we didn't have to take a deposition of him.
That was in 2009?
That was in 2009. So,
do you know if there's any truth to James Patterson's claims that Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago?
Definitely heard that.
Definitely heard that. And that is basically corroborated in the emails that the Democrats were trying to reconfigure to serve their political ends. And we saw it. It says, no, we got kicked out. Trump said, stop it. Get out of here. Okay. Stop stealing our people. We've already heard that there were conversations about Virginia Gouveia. Ghislaine Maxwell would come in. Trump would hire these people for his club, and then they'd come and steal them. Knock it off. Now, Ann Coulter also dug up a pretty interesting email. And a lot of these emails were just in text, if you saw that. So people are copying and pasting the text and just sharing that. But here's one that she got from 2016 March. And this one is wild. From Michael Wolff, a so-called journalist. And it's like, why would they not be going after this guy? Where are all the journalists saying, Michael Wolff, you sound like a piece of crap. Why were you colluding with a convicted file person? Although it was solicitation of a minor, right? So you can get like technical into what those are. He got like the most sweetheart deal. So it's hard to say like he was a convicted. You have to look at the Florida statutes, but you get the point. All right. So here's the email. They say to Epstein, a few things to think about. If the Patterson book is being published in August, so this journalist writes this to Jeffrey to paper over all of his crimes, and we know that they were much worse than the plea deal he got, that presents some time frame issues. You would not be able to do a competing book or documentary before then because we've got an election coming up, so this book is coming out. This is not to say that they shouldn't be pursued. In a sense, better that they know what Patterson's position is, and a year from now, say, be able to counter it. I have some thoughts on a book and a doc to share at your convenience, and we learned yesterday that they were doing all sorts of image sanitization. We saw that they had an SEO campaign yesterday on the show where they were trying to make his PDF file search results, sex offender, like that's a fair definition for sure, saying that we needed to suppress those search results on Google and really emphasize his philanthropy and all the other things. So it says, this is not to say we shouldn't pursue this, but I'll share some more things. Now, that being said, you do need an immediate counter narrative to the book. This book's coming out. It's going to be devastating for you, Jeffrey. I believe Trump offers an ideal opportunity. Okay, this dude is running. This is now 2016. In March, he's already announced in 15, we have to stop this man. Says, my view says here, Trump is your in. This is the window. We should take advantage. Some journalist is now counseling a convicted solicitation of a minorer to attack Trump for his own benefit to counteract a partisan book that's detrimental to him. All one big disgusting, incestuous, disgusting family. Says it's the chance to make the story about something other than you, while at the same time letting you frame your own story. How much money was Wolf getting paid by Jeffrey? Also, becoming an anti-Trump voice gives you a certain political cover, which you decidedly don't have now. In other words, you come out against Trump, Hillary's going to win, Hillary will protect you. Still, this necessarily involves you going public. I edited his email for him. And so the most basic decision is about your willingness to do that. Are you going to come public and go after the president, incoming, candidate? Now, my view, says this journalist, is that in a couple of weeks, you could master message and technical proficiency. So we're going to put you in a little boot camp and pack all these talking points in your brains so that you are media trained and can go out and do the interview circuit. I know a bunch of people who could be very helpful here. We'll bring in all the consultants and all these, PR experts. This would involve something along the lines of you writing an op-ed, doing a high-profile television interview, Charlie Rose, I'd say, and perhaps some social media efforts. Speaking of which, again, I think a strategic plan involving your public identity, your philanthropic activities and interests, and the development of media allies ought to find finally be put in place. A big, comprehensive, expensive efforts by Michael Wolff. Like, his reputation, right, should be in the garbage right now. He's over on Instagram making all these videos like, tell us, why was Trump so involved with Epstein? You were literally orchestrating a whole scheme in writing, in email, and was apparently working for the New York Times. It's disgusting behavior. Now, here's more. We see Epstein also bantered regularly with Larry Summers, another Obama person. Isn't this amazing? Here is what they said. Former Treasury Secretary corresponded routinely with this dude. Series of exchanges suggest that the former Treasury Secretary had a far cozier relationship with Jeffrey than was previously known. Emails between the two were released Wednesday by House Republicans. More than 20,000 pages also came out. The discussions took place in 17, 18, and 19, largely focused on Trump. Epstein says he's borderline insane, which again is like a great compliment. If Epstein speaks badly about you, you're like, man, that's great. I'm on the right track. But many of the emails focus on Summers' conversation with a woman and how to handle revelations with her. These are weird. Over several exchanges, Mr. Epstein offered advice to this dude who doesn't know how to talk to women in a March 16, 2019 email. So Trump is still the president. We've got a big election coming up. COVID's about to hit us all in the face. He sends an email to Jeffrey, who's like male advice columnist. Says on Saturday, March 16th, Larry Summers wrote over to Epstein. Says, okay, Larry Summers, hey, Jeffrey, I need help. Like, texting like your bros do in your group chat kind of a thing back in 19. Says, we talked on the phone. Then I can't talk later. Don't think I can talk tomorrow. Quote, I said, what are you up to? She said, I'm busy. I said, awfully coy you are. Talking about, think about like your romantic relationships. You're texting this, hot woman. And then I said, did you really rearrange the weekend we were going to be together because guy number 3 was coming? She said, no, his schedule changed after we changed our plans. I said, okay, I gotta go. Call me when you feel like it. He says, tone was not of good feeling. Jeffrey, I don't feel good. I don't want to be in a gift-giving competition while being the friend without the benefits. Oh, he wants to get some indictments just like Fanny did. So he's asking Epstein for help. He's like, I'll help you. Jeffrey says, she's smart, making you pay for past errors. Ignore the daddy, I'm going to go out with the motorcycle guy. Ignore that. You reacted well. Annoyed shows caring. No whining showed strength. So get back out there, Larry. You can win her over. It's like Will Smith from Hitch or something. Jeffrey Epstein is Will Smith in the new Hollywood movie. And goes through the email. Epstein gives this dude some good advice. Yeah, stay strong. Don't ever lose your frame. Are you crazy? And don't show too much emotion. You're going to come off as needy. It's good advice. Minutes later, Epstein replied, she's smart. Now, the newly released conversations between the two men took place years after. Epstein pleaded guilty to 2008 to prostitution-related charges. Many of the exchanges occurred after an investigation by the Miami Herald about a secret plea deal, bringing Epstein back into the spotlight. Now, they went to him. They said, hey, Larry, can you explain what happened here? He said, I regret my past associations with Jeffrey. We're sure you do. Yeah, because you got caught. In 2018, Summers forwarded an email and another email. He had corresponded with another email. He says, think no response for a while is probably appropriate. He's like, I'm going to play hard to get. She's already beginning to sound needy. Nice, says Mr. Epstein, right? Hold your frame. Yeah. Mr. Summers' relationship with Epstein was previously known, and apparently Summers had also asked Epstein for advice on $1 million in funding for a project that his wife was undertaking. Okay, so the theme here today are all of these Obama people who are just like in bed or in close relationships with Jeffrey. All of them. So here's the wife of Larry Summers. She sends this in, and I'm not real sure why he's asking, did he marry her? Was this a relationship? So this was an extramarital relationship, maybe? I don't know. But here's this email. Here's Larry Summers' wife, Alyssa New, emailing Jeffrey. So the wife of Larry sends an email in 2018. She's got literature recommendations, and she recommends a Lolita book and another book called My Antonia. Both are about, she says, a man whose whole life is stamped forever by his impression of a young girl. These people are sick. You're going to send that to a convicted solicitation of a minor convict? Lisa New sends this. Dear Jeffrey, here is an invitation you can forward, fingers crossed. I'm going upstairs to hunt for my copy of Lolita, or we'll get on my Kindle and reread on our way to Australia. I may have lent it to one of my kids. I would recommend reading My Antonia by Cather next time you're on a long plane trip. The prose is gorgeous, and the book has, come to think of it, similar themes to Lolita in that it's about a man whose whole life is stamped forever by his impression of a young girl. Sick freaks. Thank you for this help with Serena. I'm so sorry about what happened with Washington. I will keep the bootleg episode and hope to release someday. It's so good. And he was so kind to read the poem with me, and you were so kind to make it happen. She's a professor of American literature. She's like, here, read these books about like young girls and like dudes who are obsessed with them. You're gonna like it. I have a feeling. He's like, how'd you know? Because they all know. know, sickos. All right, so here's another New York Times report saying after a split with the president, Epstein went nuts. This is being reported in many other places, saying that Epstein was very mad. Trump threw him out, and Epstein says, "You don't throw me out. I hang out with all these ultra famous elites. How dare you?" So the Times is also going through emails. They said Trump's long friendship with Epstein came to an apparent end in the mid-2000s, but Epstein remained intently focused on Trump for years afterwards, wanting to exploit the remnants of their relationship all the way up until his arrest on the trafficking charges in 19. Then he died later. In more than 20,000 pages of emails, Epstein insulted Trump and hinted that he had damaging information on him. By turns gossipy, scathing, and scheming, the messages show influential people pressing Epstein for insight into Trump, including Wolf saying, "Let's take him out. This is the time," because they hated him so much they wanted Hillary to win. It's the same people who are in the media. The release of the messages instantly pushed the two men's much scrutinized relationship back into the public eye. The emails go back to 2011 when Trump was a reality TV star, toying around with the presidential run. And the president responded saying the Democrats are using this as a hoax, and they are. I mean, clearly, unequivocally. And I don't think that the Epstein entire saga is a hoax. There's obviously something there that everybody's been talking about and covering up for years now. But that doesn't negate that the Democrats are also exploiting this for political purposes and turning it into something that it isn't, making it to be a hoax. So we saw that Trump was calling around and saw a report on that yesterday saying he called Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace and others and said, "Hey, don't vote for this discharge nonsense." And Lauren Boebert came out and she was reacting to this. They said, "Are you being pressured? Are you under attack, Lauren? Is the president making you uncomfortable?"
This is an administration who's going to continue to be transparent and honest, and we'll see what comes of it. But there was no pressure, and I mean, everybody was great and worked just well with me. That would have been lost under Joe Biden's leadership if he ever let it all.
But you don't feel like you've been marginalized in the MAGA world anyway by your position here?
No, I don't feel marginalized at all. President Trump is an amazing man. I stand by him. I stand by his administration and everything that he is doing to fix the mess of the Biden administration.
Nice. So that's from Lauren Boebert, and she's standing by the president, doesn't feel attacked at all, so just chill out. Marjorie Taylor Greene came out, says, "Next week, we will be voting to release the Epstein files. I honestly believe it's not only the right thing to do for the victims, but it's also the right thing to do for the country. Americans deserve transparency," and she is right about that. Remember, Democrats had 4 years under Biden to release it all, but never even tried or cared. Now, under full Republican control, there were only 4 Republicans that signed the discharge petition for the Massey resolution to release the files. Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert. And next week, when everyone is forced to go on the record to vote to release the files, I expect the number of Republicans to be a lot higher that actually vote yes. But remember, the original 4. And I agree with that. I think there's probably going to be a dam breaking on this issue because I think people have just kind of had enough of it. So here you can see there was another scandal going around that there was an email that said that Trump spent Thanksgiving with Epstein. Obviously, that was in 2017 when Trump was the president. Every single movement of the president is tracked, and he didn't. He spent it down at Mar-a-Lago and with the Coast Guard. This is the Thanksgiving that they were all referencing. There's Trump celebrating Thanksgiving. Look at all that delicious food down there. Man, corn on the cob. We got a fruit salad over there. We got Lay's potato chips, baby. So he was over there. Do you see Epstein in there? Anybody? Oh, I don't think so. So a lot of dumb emails are going around, and a lot of it is easily disprovable, including the one that the Democrats tried to redact so that they could hide the truth from America. We all knew it was Virginia Gouveia. There's testimony. There's her book. There's her lawyers. Everybody says Trump had nothing to do with it, but they had to hide it so that they could try to bait and switch everybody and sell them something that was false because they're liars. So we also see that now even CNN is reading this massive disclaimer, and this is just amazing because they're reading this disclaimer so they don't get sued, and then as soon as they're done reading it, they're going to run their mouths about a bunch of lies and nonsense. But they read their disclaimer, so you can't sue us. Here's CNN.
That mentioned the president, and we do want to be clear, the president, Trump, did not receive or send any of the messages, which largely predated his time as president. He's not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing in connection with Epstein or Maxwell. The White House...
Read it, and then they go on, but why do you think Trump attacks minors? Well, there's a lot of evidence in that. And they go on, round and around we go like dogs just chasing their tails. But Tim Burchett came out, and he said a couple of things. So we've got a discharge petition that is underway right now, and Tim Burchett brought a motion, I believe, to the floor last night to try to just get a clear vote on this. We don't have to waste our time, and he was not allowed to do that. Something happened. Here is him explaining it, clearing the air on my attempt to release the Epstein files, and he posted this one this morning after the government and Congress got into it last night.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett.
What's up,
back
Tim?
On the farm in Tennessee after opening the government up yesterday. I put forth a UC, which is a motion for unanimous consent, and it was for Ro Khanna's bill. It didn't even have anything to do with Massey's. His still there, and they can do whatever they want to with that. But Ro Khanna's bill just said release the files. And dadgummit, that's what everybody wants.
Dadgummit.
Apparently.
Yes.
And that's what I did. And the Democrat leadership opposed to it, and that's why that they said it was, in fact, not in order, because to be unanimous consent, of course, is unanimous. Now, if you don't believe my words, read the House manual, page 805. I believe it's the second paragraph down. And you
explain
can,
it for us.
You can read it for yourself.
We'll
It's
take your
public
word.
record. They're either lying to y'all or they're just intentionally trying to mislead you.
Liars.
I think a little bit of both by some of them. And some of them, honestly, are just mistaken. But anyway, that's what it's about. It's about releasing Ro Khanna's bill, page 805. Also, if you will go back and look at some of the comments, people are saying, well, I did that to hide so people, you won't know how they voted. No, in fact, that is the whole definition of a unanimous consent. It is unanimous.
Yeah,
it means that you voted in favor of it. You can't hide behind anything and say, well, I didn't vote for that. Well, you had your opportunity on the floor under unanimous consent. And apparently the Democrats are just playing games. They're not about getting the truth out, folks. This is just about power and control, just like the shutdown was for. It had nothing to do with doing what's right and looking after the innocent and punishing the guilty. And that's what all this is about. Thank y'all for sending me here.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. We appreciate that. Now, we also saw that Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie are going to hold another press conference, and I'm not holding my breath on this one. We already saw it. We already paused everything. Everybody paused. The whole friggin' country stopped to listen to these people come out. They haven't named one other person, as far as I know, and please correct me if I'm wrong on that. Not one other person. It's only Epstein and Maxwell. And Epstein's dead and Maxwell's in prison. So if you want other justice, you gotta help us help you. Blow the whistle. Let us know. So they're gonna have a little, powwow again, probably talk about their podcast. I'm sure it's gonna be useless. 9 a.m. Eastern time, November 18th, coming up soon. I hope I'm wrong, but I doubt it. So we've got that. We also saw that they were hanging out with Caitlin Collins yesterday and Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna. Here's what they said about this whole thing. Here's what's coming soon.
I got to give credit to Lauren Boebert to walk into the White House, the center of power, the free world, really, and to sustain that and to come back out and to be solid, and also to Nancy Mace and Marjorie Taylor Greene. There was all the speculation that they might take their names off, and they never did. So it's not a hoax. It's not a moot point. It is a very serious thing.
The Democrats are turning it into a hoax there, Thomas. Ro Khanna is sitting there reposting, I think, and salivating in the same fake headlines that the media was pushing out yesterday to promulgate a hoax. And yeah, the whole thing is not a hoax. Obviously, there's something there. He got a weird plea deal. We've talked about a lot of this for a long time. And now the Democrats are trying to use it as a hoax to attack our side of the political aisle. And Thomas, if he's not seeing that, I think he can see that, but I hope he can see it. Otherwise, he's missing something big.
Victims. There are survivors who had a press conference with Ro Khanna and I, and that's what we're fighting for, justice for them.
Did y'all talk to them at any point during this as the White House was making clear they were targeting these members?
I talked to them. I don't want to say which one I had this conversation with, but one of them was told, we can't let Massie have a win. How petty is that? I mean, this is more...
Okay, that is petty. Thanks, Thomas. All right, so we've got that. We got Tim Burchett and Todd Blanche is coming out. Basically, what Massie is doing there is helping to turn this into a political thing. And I'm just irritated about that because there is actually evidence that we would like to know. What did our government do? Our government seems like it was complicit in a cover-up and maybe trafficking, maybe working with foreign countries, moving billions of dollars around, interfacing with the Obama administration. We've got somebody who said Epstein told him, send me a picture of your child. Now is the ambassador to Turkey. Like, there's a lot here. But the more it becomes politicized, the more this is like Thomas Massie versus President Trump or President Trump versus the Democrats, the less legitimate any of it is, really, because everybody just says, oh, it's all political now. So it's very irritating. Like, if they're going to come out and say it's about the victims, then you got to stick to that line. But if Massie's going to come out and smash Trump about it, then it's like, okay, what are you doing, Massie? You just hate Trump? And if Trump, we can ask these questions of everybody. All we want is actually just release the files. We can all look at them. Don't even have to make it political. Just release them. And how about we do that? So we have a battle. I think, Massie wants some stuff out. Trump wants some stuff out. And there's a lot of ulterior motives going on, but it is now being responded to by Caroline Levitt. She says, if not for the Epstein story, CNN would be forced to talk about how Chuck Schumer and the Democrats got shellacked by the president. And they did, man. We heard them screaming this morning in the House of Representatives. Ah! I think 6 Democrats defected to vote to open up the government. She says, it's clear this is another Democrat plus mainstream media hoax fueled by fake outrage to distract from the president's wins. Republicans, don't be fooled. Again, Trump will remain focused on making America affordable again.